Right, we're rolling it there. Right. Andy Torbet.
Hello.
It is Torbet, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not Torbet. You don't go fully
No, only when I'm in France or certain parts of Soho.
To carry on the conversation before we start recording, start that story again about how you were 18 and you decided you were going to be a cowboy.
So you're talking about one of the lads who basically tried to bluff his way onto a horseback scene and anything. So yeah, I was 18 years old. I went travelling across Canada. In fact, I'd never been in a plane before in my life. So
in Canada?
Yeah. And I managed to get a work visa. So I flew 3 months off. So I flew to Canada. The idea was going to fly into Toronto and work my way back to Ontario to fly back out. And I stopped in the Rocky Mountains, and there was a couple of stables that did like horseback trail rides. You know, take tourists for a couple of hours in the mountains. And I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll be a cowboy. How cool is that? You know. So I went up there, and I went to the local library and got a book. Now, what in my favour is the Western style of like riding in saddles and all that sort of stuff is different to the English.
Yeah.
So I just rocked up and was like, yeah.
Did you ride already?
No.
Okay.
No. When I was 13 and 14, I used to work in Aberdeen Council stables. There was a lot of cart horses. So I used to just muck out. So I was happy enough around horses, but I used to just muck out these cart horses. That was all I did. But so I rocked up and said, I want to work for you this summer. And you're like, yeah, cool. You know, yeah, of course I'm not a horse boy. Yeah, well, cool. So I went out with this bloke, the guide, with a load of tourists, and I was in the back horse, and the sort of head man was like, right, you know, to the guide, you just keep an eye on the lad, make sure he's all right. And I was like, yeah, no worries. So the guy could see me the whole trip, and obviously the horses are so well trained, and just follow the horse in front. I could have just gone to sleep when I mattered. So we got back in, he jumped off, and he said to the guy, how was he? Oh yeah, he was fine. I mean, you hadn't seen him the whole trip, so I was like, yeah, dead easy, you know, not a problem at all. And then they got me to put some saddles and that on the horses, which I couldn't really do properly. I hadn't never done before in my life. But I was like, oh well, yeah, it's slightly different than to the English style of saddles and tack. And they're like, oh yeah, we've heard that, yeah. So that was it. So they were like, right, there's no slots right now, but you're first on the list, no dramas.
To be cowboy training. To
basically be a horseback trail ride guide in the Rocky Mountains. Bear in mind, I've never ridden a horse before. And I was there for a month. So the month I was there, I did a bit of work in bars and what have you, and then actually mostly working in a Native American craft shop. We'll cover that later. Yeah, like all these Americans would walk in, and be like dream catchers and all that sort of stuff, and they'd be looking behind the counter, and there's some the whitest man in NATO, like pasty blue Scottish bloke, going, all right, where's my Native American? But yeah, so when it came time to leave, literally the day before I was due to leave Alberta, just trying to head up across to Ontario to get my flight, the cowboy place phoned me up and said, right, we've got a gap, you know, and I was like, yeah, I'm leaving the next day. Mind you, if I'd taken the job, I mean, it would have taken them, you know, one day to rumble me. It's a complete bluffer. But yeah, that was my horseback trail guide.
How did you end up in Canada? What were you doing?
Just monkey. Yeah. Well, so I was at uni. To say I 18, never been out of the country. I've been, Scotland and England, the only two countries I've been to. And there's this thing that you could sort of, they get your work visa. You could fly to Canada and work for 3 months and then fly back. So the idea being that you'd work there and pay off your ticket. So I did that, and that was that.
They're proper strict there, aren't they? I don't know if they were there with the immigration. I can't remember. Someone was going. They were talking about they wanted to emigrate to Canada. I think it was someone I was serving who was on about it. Their missus was Canadian. And there's all this point system. You had to have a mental load of points just to get over there for more than a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And you had to have, that was it. You had to have degrees and like proven education and all kinds of stuff. It was, I don't know if that's that.
Well, I mean, it's a temporary, it's a 3 month thing anyway. So I wasn't going to stay there. It's like a student work visa, what it was called. I don't know what it was. And this was 94. It was a different place from it is now. Yeah, it was cool. It was like America without the guns. In fact, I remember watching a TV program. I was out there, And they did this experiment where they'd found these two towns of roughly the same demographic, one 50 mile north of the border in Canada, one 50 miles south of the border in the States. I can't remember which state it was. But they, on a Saturday market day, they opened up this little stall and were giving away free handguns.
In Canada?
And in America, so the two towns.
It was a deliberate experiment.
Yeah, to see how things would react differently. And so in the States, literally from the first 2 hours, all the handguns had gone. People were like, oh great, free guns, fantastic, brilliant, I'll have some of that. And in Canada, they were basically run out of town. Everyone was like, what the fuck are you doing bringing what are you doing? This is not cool. And then they sort of, like the sheriff or whatever it was, basically said, look, you guys need to pack up and piss off, basically. So
odd, isn't it?
I say that's mid-90s. That was just the kind of the difference in attitudes. 50 miles, north and south of that border.
Canadians. So if you went out there and were in your 18 then, when did you join up then?
Just as I turned 20.
What did you do in between?
So I left home at 16. I was a butcher when I was 16. And I was going to join the Paras, because my brother joined at 16 as well. And I went along to see the careers office in Aberdeen, and it was a Para Sergeant Major actually who was the man behind the desk at the time. And he said, looking at my sort of school results, he said, if you were my son, I'd tell you, go to university, have a good time, and then join as an officer. And I was like, nah, it was almost reverse snobbery, because I was like, people like me don't become officers, simple as that, it just don't remember. My father's side's miners, my mum's side's farmers. People like me don't. People who are officers play polo and things like that, right? Which is completely wrong. I mean, it's right in certain regiments, but most of the army, the working army, it's not the case anymore. But I was like, nah, that's not going to happen. And then my brother, who joined at 16, got picked up for a corps commission. Picked up for to go to Sandhurst as a soldier, and he started Sandhurst with like, mate, it's not like we thought it was. There's guys here from all backgrounds. It doesn't matter anymore. They're not. I mean, again, certain regiments. If you want to go to the Scots Guards or that, then yes, you need to have a second income. But otherwise, anybody can do it. So went back to see the Army Careers Office and had a chat with them, and they said, look, unless you want to be a doctor or a professional engineer, you can go and do any degree you want and enjoy yourself. Thumbs up. So yeah, I went to uni
as part of the officer. Is that the sponsorship thing?
No, because I thought, right, if I'm going to go, I'm going to study something I want. I'm going to join the army. I might as well study something that I'm actually interested in. So I did zoology and archaeology.
Zoology?
Yeah, like wildlife.
Ah. I knew that.
My dissertation was on lions. Oh yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
What was it about? Go on.
It was about the evolution of social behaviour. Because the big cats like like tigers and a lot of jaguars, leopards, most of them are quite solitary. Lions are operate in sort of big units, relatively big units for big cats.
And other cats don't generally.
Most big cats don't. No, you get like cheetahs who work in like maybe pairs, but usually that's brothers or sisters. But so. We think about like dogs as being pack animals, but cats, big cats especially, are always solitary. Cougars and leopards and jaguars and tigers, whereas lions aren't. So, but all the guys in my course and guys and girls in my course, they were looking like thinking about jobs and that. So they were trying to do what you call applied zoology, stuff, wildlife stuff that would apply to commercially. So there's a big onus on studying the effect of weevils on crops, or this beetle on fruit production in the cider or whatever. And I was like, well, I'm going to join the forces and get shot at, so I'm going to do it on lions because lions are cool. So yeah, I did that, and then which is good. I mean, I loved it. I had a good time at university.
Where was the uni?
Sheffield.
Ah, my mate went there. I got a mate who went there. Yeah, he enjoyed it. I'd never been into it. Yeah.
I thought it was way down south, because coming from Aberdeen, I thought.
Well, it is everywhere's way down south.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Norway's down south from Aberdeen. The other thing was that, and this is. So I went to uni when I was 17, just after I turned 17. I went to uni, and with the kind of help you out there. So I got a bank account in the Midlands Bank, and obviously Sheffield geographically is pretty much in the centre of England, right? So I assumed I was in the Midlands.
Oh, go on. I've had this
for about a year, right? I assumed in the Midlands because common sense dictates if England is South, Midlands, and North, right? That's a third each. Whereas in actual fact, like 3/4 of England is the North, apparently. But yeah, for the first year I was in Sheffield thinking I was in the Midlands.
You got Black Country as well.
Yeah, don't confuse me.
It confuses me. We had a guy on, and his name's Julian Woodall, superb guy, and he said Black Country. Oh, I didn't think I'd ever heard the bloody tune. I thought he'd made it up. Yeah, from Black Country.
Yeah.
Fuck, it's that. So between the Midlands and the North,
yeah,
you've got the Black Country.
I thought the Black Country was like around Birmingham kind of way.
I'm not even going to speculate.
Right.
It sends me on.
Well,
I need to be cursing now. Listen to this. Be cursing.
It's the thought that people from like East Anglia, like Norfolk, sound suspiciously like people from like Somerset. It's a bit bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right there.
Yeah,
you're right. It's the coast dwelling.
It's probably either that or aliens.
Yeah, webbed feet.
Yeah.
They're too much.
We've just lost about half.
It's a half one to lose. How did you get college quals then before you went to uni? How did you go at 17?
Because in Scotland you do highers rather than A levels, and you can do them in 1 year rather than 2 years. But
sixth form.
Yeah. So basically, I banged them all out in a year to get just to get out early. So rather than taking 2 years to get my A level equivalents, you could, if you wanted to put your head down, do them in a year. So bang 5 out a year, and then, which is great because you go to uni at 17, literally just on 17. Everyone assumes you're 18 because it's an English university, so you don't get checked for IQ. At 17, I was. And this was in Sheffield. The Sheffield was like the poorer brother compared to like Manchester, Liverpool, and Leeds at the time. But this is the time of like Manchester scene. You Cream coming up, and all the Hacienda, all that sort of stuff was happening.
Happy Mondays.
Yeah.
They were Sheffield, and now they're Manchester.
No, they were Manchester. Because the Hacienda Club in Manchester, and then like so Sheffield was like the music factory. But that big scene that was kind of happening. I say Sheffield was kind of the four places that was all happening. But it was. I don't think I obviously didn't at the time didn't appreciate what was going really on, but it was a big thing back then.
Can we go back to the Lions a minute?
Yes.
So
yes. Well, let's.
You got the wildlife of Sheffield.
Yeah.
You got the wildlife of Africa. So what are you saying with the lions that they are pack animals, whereas the rest of the big felines aren't?
Yeah, basically.
So why is that then?
Well,
you have to think back up this dissertation.
God almighty.
Should I read you back up?
Basically, it's all to do with it's all theoretically, but the pressures that if you imagine the savannah is a much harder place to hunt as a solitary animal than say the jungles, because you can't use ambush attacks and that sort of stuff. So at some point, so that's why even the cheetahs on the savannas, although they might only work in twos, will often work in brother pairs. So the kind of success rate, if every say 5 hunts, you're getting one big kill, but you've got more mouths to feed. Well, that's better than only one mouth to feed, but you might be only getting 1 kill out of 20 hunts. So it all comes out of mass at the end of the day. Really, the way that sort of the genetics work in evolution, in natural selection, it's pretty straightforward. If something makes you better, then you'll keep using it. You'll do better. You'll breed more, and therefore that thing that makes you better will be passed on to more and more of your kids. If you're doing something that makes you worse, you're going to die sooner, make less kids, and therefore that's less likely to be passed on. That's basically how it works.
Do you only get lions in the savannah? You don't get them in the jungle, do you?
No.
That's the other thing. From a tactical perspective, it's much harder to hide away from things in the savannah and pounce out of them in short range. Yeah. You got to chase stuff down the savannah. Yeah. They'll creep up as much as they can, but again, obviously the other side is that the prey are evolving as well to try and. So it's a bit of an arms race. So that's why your zebras and your wildebeest will be in big packs as well, because they can kind of sit around and there's lots of pairs of eyes. It's something like every bloke on sentry all looking all the time like being mega paranoid. So yeah, that's when I did my distance. It's coming massively handy in my career. How so?
No, it's not till now. It's the first time.
I was thinking
20 years.
Diving, skydiving. Well, so who did you join up in the end? We got past your excuse for not joining the Reg. Uni, Sheffield.
Yeah. That's right. It was so close.
Who did you join up with?
Well, actually, I started in the Marines. I started in the Royal Marines.
Did you really?
Yeah, and then in training at Livingston, I injured my back pretty badly. A lot worse than I thought at the time. So I got MD'd from there, but I managed to swing it. That they MD'd me. I can't. It was like, is it P2 pucks? Like P2 physically unsuitable for commander training service, but it meant I was still theoretically fit to join the whatever stuff. Anyway, but I wasn't. I mean, I shouldn't. Looking back now, I shouldn't have been. I was a bit messed up. I was getting like temporary paralysis in my left leg and all that sort of stuff. And I mean, back's still bad now. That's one of the reasons people go, I'll look after myself, because actually, if I don't train, my back's in clip. You know. So I came out there and I was like, well, so I got myself fit. A contact in the Royal Engineers, and he was like, mate, you know, we've got commanders, paras, bomb disposal, and divers as well. I was like, that kind of army diving quite interested me. So I spent about 9 months in the outside, basically getting myself fit. I didn't get my head together. You know, I'd gone from, you know, young guy, Royal Marines, fucking the Green Beret, massively physically active, to being massively physically inactive and having the carpet pulled right from you under you, and you know, never not going to be a Royal Marine. And again, at the time, you never realise it with the power of hindsight. You know, I was an angry young man. I was angry enough before that happened, but you know, I wasn't a pleasant person to be around.
Why is that? What was pissing you off? Scotland, pasty, don't get a tan. Not a cowboy.
Yeah, not the major. That's been the major thing. I wish you hadn't brought that up now. See, I'm gonna start messing the place up. Not being a cowboy. In my head, I'm a cowboy.
I had a friend in Three-Quarter, and his name. I'm not. In fact, caught myself well. I don't say that. But he ended up. He's been mental. I think he's still in, and he ended up going. This is years ago. He ended up going back and forth to the States to a ranch to go and learn to be a cowboy. He was paying thousands. He probably is still paying thousands, and he's getting certificates and awards and lassoing. He'd be in his bunk in the block, and he'd be practicing lassoing. Mental.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he's a virgin.
I've been a couple of like big rodeos in the States and Canada, and the cowboys there, right, the actual cowboys who 10 months of the year just herd cattle from a horse, and 2 months of the year, you know, basically get kicked to shit by massive bulls. I'll guarantee you, mate, they haven't got one piece of paper between them. Mind you, you see in the back of some of those bulls, mate, and they've got balls like granite blocks. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Right, so you went to the engineers then? You went in as an officer?
Yeah.
From all this coffee.
Go on then.
I quite happy actually. Green Beret coffee.
Look at that. For the black off.
Pour it. I'll fucking spill it.
We'll electrocute ourselves.
So engineers as an officer.
Yeah.
How does it work? Because I know Sanders works as a trade. When you go in like infantry, you go in and do your fucking. Is it the same in Sanders for everyone? Are you going depending on regardless of what trade you're going into?
Yeah.
And then do you do your continuation trade training, if you like, when you get to unit, or what? I don't know.
Right, so Sanders wise, I've no idea, because I've only been there twice. Once was for my brother's graduation ball, and once was an orienteering event. Because I was at Limston, they said I could just not do Sanders. So, yeah, they went to Sanders. So we went to this orienteering thing, and it was me and it was a lot of like seniors and full crews and that representing with their regiments at the time, and they were like, "Well, you are, you know, this is fine. You'll just piss it because you don't even need a map and compass. You'll just lift it back your hand." I was like, "I've only been once before. It's about 10 years ago, and I was drunk. I don't know what anything is."
So you commissioned them when you left?
Yeah. Well, actually, in the Marines, you commission from day one. So in the Army, you don't get your commission till you leave Sandhurst.
Right.
But in the Marines, the day you start, you're a commissioned officer in the Royal Marines.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's done slightly. I mean, you could argue that. Well, yeah. I mean, the standard in the Royal Marines is much higher.
Yeah.
That's that. But it's not because necessarily they're better. It's because they've got much smaller numbers. Like 20 guys in my intake, and at Sandhurst it's like 400 people in the intake. And if you take the top 20 people from a Sandhurst intake and put them next to the 20 guys in the Royal Marines, they'll be in a par. I mean, even arguably better. But yeah, if you only take 20 people in one intake, then you can afford to obviously be fairly picky.
Did you get to choose what you went into in the engineers? What discipline you went into?
Well, you start pretty general, and then you can sort of volunteer for stuff. But there's not always the slots. Like everybody wants 9 Squadron, you know, or 590, the para and the commando units, or EOD, and it was EOD I was after. Well, actually, I ended up spending most of my time in the unit I wanted to go to, which was 49 EOD. So 49 was the bomb disposal and high risk search unit that supported the airborne and the commando and the SF units. So we'd 3 troops in the squadron. You'd one which were maroon lids, 1 green lids, and then the last troop was sporting pool. Actually, we're attached to, which is brilliant because you just got to do all the. I mean, most of the guys, to be honest, were double lidded, so most of the guys had their wings and their daggers. Probably the fittest unit because you had such rivalry between the commandos and the partners. So come like Squadron BFT, it was worse because everything's relative. So people say, "Oh, are you fit?" Well, yeah, I'm average fitness. Your average fitness is a squadron which is like half commanders and half paras, and everybody's tried to beat everybody else. You're like super fit. I did selection, and was like, "Oh, I don't know this. I'm fit enough to do this." Yeah. Piece of piss. Because I'd left the where we was like half the squadron's running 6-minute BFTs. Like, I'm really bad. I'm running 7.5 minute BFT. I'm really bad. And then you go into a normal unit and you're like, Jesus Christ, this is alright. So yeah, and I volunteer for bombs. I really want to go bomb disposal because at the time, that was the most operationally active unit in the British forces. It even overtook, I think, Hereford and Poole.
What year are we talking now?
This would have been something like 2000 to 2004 or 5. With the stuff going on, we put on mine clearance and that stuff in Bosnia and Kosovo, and then you had Afghan bit kick off in Iraq, and bits and pieces like Sierra Leone and Kenya, and still bits and pieces in Ireland, not that much. And the RLC took care of the IED stuff, but we also had obligations to the Maritime Counter-Terrorist Unit. So when I was at 49, along the normal bits and bobs that you do, I was in charge of the airborne bomb disposal team. Awesome, jumping out of black planes because P4 weighs a ton, and I'm 5'8". At the time, I was doing a little bit of boxing, so I think I was about 72 kilos. So 5'8", 72 kilos. It's like, right, you carry this enormous Bergen. Yeah. Corporal Cable, who's like 6'4" and built like the Hulk. Right, well, you better just take this patrol sack with some fucking mess tins in it, and that'll do you.
Yeah. That's the night. Yeah. Well, that look how small he is. That kit looks massive on him because he's got loads of kit.
Yeah, that's because it is massive on him.
Yeah. I think what is the all-up weight of a? I think the total weight you can have is 350 pounds. I think it was under the new shoes. Yeah. Well, they got new shoes now again. I think 350 pounds. So if you were like 150 pound piss wet through.
Yeah.
There's 200 pounds worth of kit you can have. That's 60 pounds of that is your shoot. So then there's 140 pounds, and then you're gonna try and jump out of a plane.
Well, that's not that. The harbor's tabbing off the DZ at the end. You just with 3 times your body weight on.
It pays to be like a unit.
Yeah, it pays to be massive. Yes, I could never understand it. Like, we'll get the strongest blokes, the biggest, strongest blokes to carry almost nothing. Yeah. And the little blokes can carry, there's some mortar base plates, some extra ammo, and there's some batteries for you. And there's a plastic explosive to take with you as well, because that weighs a ton. So I did that. I ran the regiment of the Army's underwater bomb disposal team, because there's one team based at 3-3, or there was. I think there was, if there's more than one team now, but there was one Army, because we took care of everything from the high water mark above. So the Navy's responsibility was high water mark and below.
What's the high water mark?
Like the high tide mark.
Oh, okay, right.
And so we basically did lakes and rivers and sewers, which is nice. And then the high risk search team that was attached to the Maritime Counter-Terrorist Unit, i.e. the boys at Poole, which was either, I think, M Squadron and then X Squadron, which was, I have to say, brilliant. It's why you join the army. Like on exercise, we were like, you're abseiling out of Chinooks or Sea Kings in the middle of the night in the North Sea onto oil rigs or onto ships. You've got your black kit on. I mean, you're dressed like your action man. All your black kit on. You've got your pistol side slung. You got your respirator on. It's so cool.
You're freezing though. You're freezing.
No.
Yes, you're freezing. I was talking to a guy. who's Hereford. Years ago I was talking to him, and he was God, I can't remember. Anyway, he was it's not about a fucking like exercising. It wasn't art, it was an exercise. And he's telling me about coming out of the ocean. He was in a dry suit and he was climbing up the side of a and just he went pear shaped and his mate fell in and nearly drowned and all this. And all I was thinking was, all that side, fucking freezing. You're on the North Sea somewhere. No way, you doing this? I go, no. It doesn't appeal. Sorry, it doesn't appeal. Wearing a black it does, but warm and dry. Stick me in Afghan and do it.
I reckon the exact opposite was the problem because we never deployed from the sea. The SB lads did that. We went out of helicopters, so we fast roped in. So you've got like your warm kit on, your frizz suit, your dry suit at the top of that. So you've got a big rubber suit on. So by the time you hit the deck, you're then running around inside you get into the oil rig or the ship. You're running around like a maniac. Within like 10 minutes, you are piss wrapped in sweat.
That's acceptable.
I imagine you get resi on as well. You know,
when they call me up and say you go and do it, I'll be like, any water? Are we going to do what Andy Torbet said? I need to sort it out.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. So went bomb disposal, which I loved. I mean, the course is a couple of months long, and it had, and I presume it still has, a massively high failure rate, and kind of rightly so, because when it comes to test week, they pile on the stress to try and make it as realistic as possible. So it is hugely stressful.
All electronics, I take it, and stuff like that.
No, it's all academic based. It's all very academic. Yeah. Well, and suppose this how psychology, how you plan the thing out, and how you don't need to be super intelligent to do it, but you have to be able to cope with the strain and stresses and get everything right, because you can't really make any mistakes.
Was it a course to plan a bomb disposal operation or actually defuse the bomb?
Well, the full thing. So in a bomb disposal operation, like for example in Iraq, you get we'll get a call through. In fact, when I was out there, I was the SO3, so I get the call from the brigade HQ saying some lads on the grounds have reported an ID on this route, blah blah blah. You go, cool, okay, can they put a cordon in? Yes. You might have a squadron. I've got a company of guys to put a big cordon around that area. And then the BDO, bomb disposal officer guy, rocks up. Now, that's going to be either a sergeant or a staff sergeant, or a lieutenant or a captain, a junior captain, right? So it's a junior officer or a senior NCO, right? It's a staffy or stripey. That's it. That's the only senior you've got. But you rock up to that, the engine control point, as the BDO, you are the law. So you will put up a note. You'll call up the air marshal for the brigade and say, right, I want a no-fly zone over this whole area. You'll liaise with the company commander, a major, and go, right, sir, I want you to do this, and this, blah blah. You'll then get your own team, and you'll brief them, right, I want to get this kit ready, and then you walk down to the device on your own. So it's a surprising amount of, I think, pressure and responsibility to put on, somebody who could be like a brand new sergeant. Only promoted last week, I mean, well, not quite last week, but in the last 6 months, he could have been promoted to sergeant, and suddenly he's telling, half colonels and majors what to do. So the course is was pretty exacting. But what it means is that at the regiment at the time when I was there, 3-3, the caliber of people there, I mean, all ranks, all the way up from pretty much from sort of Lance Jack all the way up, was top notch. And they had to be kind of thinking man soldiers. They had to be because it's kind of it's slightly more of an academic discipline than so a lot of the normal sort of stuff we do. But the other thing was that it had a bit more feel to kind of Germany regiment. So that the regiments in Germany, I think it's a lot more close knit because that's all they've got. Whereas in the UK, come a Friday afternoon, everyone bomb busts, they go home or they go wherever they want to go. But because we were carrying so many pages and so many duties, half the regiment would have to stay in camp over the weekend. So it was just a lot more kind of close knit, kind of family unit, which was quite good.
Funny you mention that. The guy you had on about the Black Country guy, Julian, he was talking about Germany, the same kind of thing, that close knitness. That's interesting. Yeah, have to stick around on standby and all that. How big was the unit altogether?
The RHQ, I think it was 3 field squadrons and then 1 big support squadron, and then you'd another another sort of squadron, but it was the guy in charge of it was an LE major. I think you might have a couple of W1s or W2s, and then he has civilian stuff. But his job was mostly clearance of training areas.
Okay.
So there's kind of like 5 squadrons, but one was kind of almost a civilian squadron, and then 1 support and 3 field. Yeah, but I mean, it's all changed now. I think there's now 2 full regiments. I think 101 became which was a TA unit. It's now a full regular regiment. I mean, it had to happen because even when I left in 2006, you had guys at 16 Brigade giving the old, I'm on Airborne Task Force, pager, 48 hours notice to move. We were like, mate, anything over fucking 24 hours at 3-3 doesn't count as a duty. And at one point I was carrying 3 pages. I had a half-hour notice to move for Midway. That's the response to if somebody digs up a World War II bomb in London or whatever. I was carrying the maritime counter-terrorism pager, which was 3 hours notice to move, and then I was on the ABF, but the forward ABF, so which was 24 hours notice to move. And the CEO at the time was basically like, let's just hope they don't all go off. But even when I was just on the ABF and because we were on the MCT pager, the maritime counter-terrorism pager for pretty much, so 3 hours notice to move for pretty much 2 years non-stop. So I could go to Cambridge and just into London, and the CEO was like, look, you go to London, it's fine. If the call goes out, I'll send my car and driver for you, because he's kind of, I need to cut you a bit of slack, because I think we had 3 teams and then me, and the idea was that the teams would do 1 week on, 2 weeks off, but because there was no one else qualified to cover the pager, there's one other guy actually who I took over from, but he was in a different squadron, so he did do I think a couple of weeks for me at one point, just so I could go and leave. Not that I needed to leave. Single bloke, didn't care.
How long were you there for?
3 years, 3-4 years. 3 years, yeah.
What happened after that? Where did you deploy to with them actually?
Iraq, yeah. Kosovo, Bosnia. I nipped back and forth to Northern Ireland, but literally like a couple of weeks. Yeah, and that was it. I was down to Falklands, but that wasn't with the UAD. And that was the hardest tour.
Why is that?
Because it was fucking boring.
What were you doing there?
Nothing.
What?
Literally nothing.
I went out there for 4 months.
I only did 3, and I honestly, people ask me about mental health and all that sort of stuff, and I was like, the closest I've ever come to getting PTSD was fucking Falklands from boredom.
What was the task?
I wasn't doing anything. We were doing some trade stuff up there. Actually, it was
with the bomb disposal unit.
No. Just doing engineers. We got off the plane in Mount Pleasant, and there was a chief petty officer from the Navy who was kind of meeting us, who was public greet stuff, and he basically said, right, you'll either leave here the fittest you've ever been in your life, or an alcoholic, because there is a bar and a gym, and that is it. And he's right. What was worse is that I remember, like, rum was 7 pence a shot.
Jesus Christ. So
you could buy half a pint of rum for like 50p and a can of Coke for 50p, and just you could have a pint of rum and Coke, half and half, for like £1. And I'm like, I'm not surprised you've got a massive alcoholism problem, because this was kind of early 90s. You've got a massive alcohol problem because you're selling rum at like, I think the most expensive drink in the whole of the bar in Mount Pleasant was some cognac for like 48 pence a shot or something like that. I mean,
yeah, like we went out there for 4 months as the Ruhlman Infantry Company, and it was one of those times where I don't know if you would have experienced it actually. With this, you have there's a cycle of the quality of your commanders and the command structure you go through, isn't it? And depending where you are in the command structure, it depends how much it impacts you. And I was at Tom at the time, and there was 3 platoon. We went out as a company. No, it was a company went out there, but it was a platoon of 3 power, platoon of 2 power, platoon of 1 power, and all the platoon sergeants were all in competition with each other. All the platoon commanders in competition with each other, and in competition means who can do the most training and thrash the blokes the most. And if we're the blokes, and we were on a cycle. It was good. It was like a 3-week cycle. We'd do a week of patrols. The year before is when they discovered an Argentine equivalent of SBS. I think it's a rigid raider on the West Falkland on one of the beaches. Yeah, and it was a farmer discovered it. It's like, what the fuck is this?
Well, an old one or like
no, fucking new. Yeah. So
what was this?
2002 we went, so it would have been 2001.
Well, the thing is, I think I'm right in saying that the Argentina have never rescinded their claim on the Malvinas. So effectively, because that's why it's still counted as an operational tour.
Yeah,
you don't get a medal for it, but it's still counted as an operational tour.
Like an Argentine family. It is. Honestly, we don't bring up the fuck. Oh, I do because I got a cousin I wind there right.
Don't mention the war.
It's hideous. We got no conversation about it, mate. Fierce. One of my cousins, Ilu, and she's in Scotland for working, and super intelligent lady, super fucking ferocious. You know, she got Irish genes as well, and I went to visit her in Poland. She was in Poland in uni a couple of years back, and then I made the mistake of just bringing it up. I always bring it up. I always bring it up. Tell me if she's like winning an argument, which she always does. I'll just go, it was the Falcons and dickhead.
Yeah.
And then on that same night, I ended up talking to. She got a bit intoxicated. I was a bit intoxicated, and then there's a bloke walked to the bar. Didn't look Polish. And he'd speaking American. And I went to the bar and was like, what's happening? It turned out he's a US soldier. And I go back, she's like, why the fuck are you talking to him? I was like, what? Why the fuck are you talking to American? I said, he's a US soldier. Don't talk to fucking Americans. There was all of them fucking hate Americans. Crazy, mate, it's crazy.
They weren't involved. We beat you on our own. Yeah. It's alright, love. Calm down.
They hold grudges. Right?
So you found this?
Yeah. So no, we didn't find it.
Right.
The year before we went out on that tour, this had been discovered. So when we went out there, a week of that 3-week rotation was patrols, which I think was part of that Roman infantry company thing anyway. But it's sort of a bit heightened, and we would for 7 days we'd go on patrol around the island on Shanks's pony. It was between 3, 4, 5, 6 days. Depending on where we were going, and then we do a week of that. And we come back in. We'd have about 14 hours to ourselves, literally 12 to 14 hours. Sort your kit out, go smash beers. You get into one of the bars in Mount Pleasant Airfield at about 7 o'clock. They shut it at 10, so you just smash beers down neck. And then the next week would be a guard rotation on Mere Harbour, for example, just stagging on, and then again you come back in, about 12, 14 hours to yourself, and then the following week on Onion Ranges live firing. So you just got thrashed for 3 weeks, So when you were drinking, you were fucking power drinking, but no, it was hideously boring. But when you get the lash, I remember being cheap. I got barred from 2 of those 3 pubs in Port. There were 3 pubs, isn't it?
Port Stanley.
Yeah, 3 pubs.
The Globe is one.
The Globe.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them. You got the Globe. I think it's bad. We just got minging. We were like the first. The other thing was it was the 20th anniversary of the Falklands, and we were the first deployment of paras from the parachute regiment there since '82.
Okay.
So we were like gods. They were loving it. They were just fucking hell.
And then 2 weeks later they went,
you go and get the fuck off this island. Oh my god, it was mental. How did I get to that? Oh yeah, you know about the Falklands, yeah, I can understand. It is fucking boring. It's the only place I've ever been on the planet. Right now, you've probably been there, and then when you've gone to the you've been to Antarctica, haven't you?
No, I've been at the Arctic.
So it's the only place. Falkland Islands, the only other place I've been where I didn't, apart from human beings and farm animals, there was no other life. No. There was no insects. There was no flies. There was nothing.
That's because it blows.
I don't think I even saw any birds. I saw an eagle or something. It was a massive. Sure? It was not an eagle. It was a massive. It was one of these massive birds that must have stopped on the wrong island. It was probably doing some transatlantic.
Massive, white, woolly, walked around.
4 legs.
Was it? Yes. Yeah, that's the one.
That was fucking huge. Anyway, didn't say anything.
What, an ostrich?
Nothing wanted to be there. When you were there, do you remember Fixmas?
No.
Fixmas. Falkland Islands Christmas.
No, I left before I ended
in July.
Yeah.
They have Falkland Islands Christmas.
All right,
they're in July. It's weird. I can't remember why.
There's a lot of things weird about the Falkland
Yeah,
Islands.
very weird.
We
weird people. Yeah.
We had to get a boat somewhere, and the boat, a local guy, took us out on this boat, and I swear to God, it was Hagrid Harry Potter. You literally, all you could see was that he'd massive, like, sort of afro hair and then huge beard, and he's like a giant of a guy, and all you could see was his eyes. Like, his beard started just basically his eyelashes, but grew out from there. It's like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, that was...
Was there a lady there in Port Stanley? Did you go into Port Stanley?
Yeah.
Was there a lady there who, if you ever saw her, old... So you went in what, 04 or 05?
No, I was there in 97.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, she was younger then. She's probably more active. She used to dance
in a circle.
With the penguins?
Yeah, probably the same one.
Where did she...
So we drove to Port Stanley, and the same chief petty officer met us, was kind of giving us a bit of guide, and there's a patch of grass in front of the, I think it's in front of the globe actually. Anyway, and there's a little kind of 4 foot diameter circle that was worn away, it was just muddy, and he said, he goes, right, remember that for tonight. And in the globe, there's this woman, and she's just stood in the dance floor, like this is like from the doors opening, dance floor's empty, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, in the evening. She's on, and she's literally stood, and she's dancing, but just literally turning in a circle. Just turn a circle.
She was still there 5 years later.
Well, there you go. So during the day, she stands out in the middle of the park and does it, and then at night she does it in the she's kind of famous.
Yeah,
she's obviously upgraded to dancing with penguins when you get there.
Well, I remember penguins, but my memory is skewing it. But she was definitely out of dancing. She was definitely in the globe dancing. We'll add penguins in. The penguins in there as well.
Yeah, you can never. It's the Falklands. You've got to include penguins somewhere. I don't know if did I see any penguins in the Falklands? I don't know if I did.
Yeah, I'm sure there's penguins there.
One of there is that's like famous for it. You used to be able to get your passport stamped with a penguin when you.
That's right. And when you take off in the plane, when we took off in the plane to leave. On the runway, on the grass verge on the side, there was a person dressed up as a penguin, running alongside the plane as the plane started. Obviously, like accelerating, running alongside the plane, flapping the wings, like waving. But
are you sure about that?
This RAF, mate.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 100%. That was real. That penguin was real.
The untold secrets of the Falklands. There's a lot of drugs down in the Falklands.
No, I didn't see any of that. Drugs, is there?
So I've heard.
No, but they're weird people. They're like a cross between. They're like a cross between, like your most backwards Cornish person and your most backwards like Yorkshire farmer mixed, and the accent's the same. They just fucking. I
had a quick look at the HR's kind of audience demographic. 1/3 Yorkshire, 1/3 Cornish, and 1/3 the Falklands. You've just literally lost every single one of your listeners. That was it.
Yeah, it's not a drama. I don't mind losing them.
So the Falklands, yeah, it was
shite.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was an experience. I mean, you know what? Very few people. My brother, he went down. When he was still a soldier, he went down there as a radio op, and he went down to South Georgia for 6 months, and that was cool. I mean, that's
inside the Arctic Circle, isn't it?
Yeah, it was good. There was Royal Engineers boat op. There was a couple of signals guys. There was a Remy guy, and I think there was like 8 Royal Marines, and that was about it down there for sort of 6 months. He had a great time.
When did you start diving?
I started diving when I was sort of 12, 14. So.
Oh, you didn't learn when you were in the... I assumed you'd learn when you were in the military.
No. Sorry, so always, as a kid, like I always wanted to do the underwater stuff. Like, I used to love the old, my action men always had the diving stuff. The old Jacques Cousteau and, Man from Atlantis, all that sort of stuff. So when I was 12, we moved in from the Highlands, moved into Aberdeen, and I thought, right, I'm gonna join the Aberdeen Dive Club. And back then, your membership for the year was like £7. As a junior member, and it was 50 pence a week, pool for like training fees, training pool. So, and you couldn't actually dive till you were 14. So I joined as a snorkeling member. So I had a paper round, which earned me like a £5 a week, and that's how I learned to dive. Offshore Aberdeen. People go, oh well, you've got to have money to do that. It's like, I had a paper round. I was 12 years old, and I was like, right, I want to learn to dive. I'll get a paper round. That's what it cost me. And then kit's expensive, but because by the time I learned, masks and fins and snorkels don't cost much. By the time I got to 14, and then I got a job in Iceland stacking freezers. But also, folk at the club, I became this sort of mascot because my parents, my mum didn't dive with that, so it was just this little kid who rocked up, went, right, I want to learn to dive. So by that, after a couple of years, people would just like give me kit, So my first proper diving wetsuit was a pair of second-hand like long johns, which didn't fit that well, and actually it's a woman's jacket. This woman gave me a jacket, which obviously balls in all wrong places, it flushes through. So I'd go diving as a kid and come out literally blue fingernails, blue lips, like borderline hypothermia, having a great time. I was hard. If I started diving now under these conditions, I'd do it once, be like, fuck this is rubbish. Go home. Fortunately, I was too stupid to know any better. So, and then, you know, again, even the conditions, like you're diving off the coast of Aberdeen, it's like nil viz and freezing all the time. So, you know, my expectations, I was like, this is brilliant. So I started in a pretty rubbish place to go diving. So
I didn't realise that with I think I was talking to John Vickers, and I was talking to freediver.
There's loads of them. Which one?
Oh God,
Tanya Street, William Trowbridge,
Blue Abyss Connection.
Oh, Emma
Fat. I think I was talking to her, and I didn't realise the visibility thing when you're diving in the UK and you can't see fuck all.
No, you can't see.
You can't see. Yeah, here's a question for you. I think about that. Because funny, I came out to diving. If you notice, I just realised I came out to diving when you mentioned South Georgia, which is freezing.
Yeah.
Was it on the one show you did you were diving in the Arctic?
That was Operation Iceberg, a BBC Two science thing. Yeah.
How'd you keep warm?
Well, you wear lots of woolly, basically like lots of fleecy underclothes, and you get a dry suit over the top of that.
But nothing, isn't there like warming element? Is there?
Yeah, you can do. So you can get basically electrically heated suits and gloves and all that stuff, but they're quite a battery pack. They don't last that long, and they're massively expensive. So I mean, I've got a vest. I've got an electric heated vest that's sometimes used, but most of the times you don't need to. You know, I mean, in the Arctic, so we're diving around this iceberg off Greenland, and it was because it's salt water. It doesn't freeze, or it stays water for a lower temperature. So the surface is 0 degrees because of salt content, and down at 30 meters, sort of on the side of the iceberg, it was -2. But we're only doing 45-minute dives, so it's not that bad. We had loads of layers on, then a dry suit. Well, I was wearing like 7mm mitts, wetsuit mitts, a full face mask on. The full face mask means your whole face is dry. That does help a lot. So yeah, but I mean, that's not as bad. The colds have been diving. Last winter I was out in Finland, cave diving in this flooded mine system. So we're about 1 kilometre inside the mine. The maximum depth. We went to sort of 90 meters, like 300 feet. But so it takes a couple of hours to get in and then back out again. And it's about 2 degrees water inside this sort of cave system. I mean, you come out into the bottom of this lake, but because it's fresh water, you get what's called reverse thermocline. So it's actually it's ice on the top. So you're smashing the ice to get in at the start, and then it's 0 degrees. The top to 20 meters. So you've got to decompress, and it can take a couple of hours to decompress. So you're doing
coming out.
Yeah, so you're doing 4.5 hours in the water. Half that at 2 degrees, half that at 0 degrees, and then you're smashing the ice to get back out, and yeah, it is unbelievably cold. And we're doing that every day for a week.
What were you in the cave for?
We're filming, and it was it's out next month. So a friend of mine I've worked before, who's a Finnish filmmaker, he always wanted to make. He's got this sort of idea in his head, this weird sort of underwater sci-fi shot he wanted to make. It's like 10 minutes long. So but no one's paying for it. So we all paid our own way. There's a lot of Finnish lads, a lot of Brits went out there, and we made this little sort of weird sci-fi 2001 style diving shot, which I've still not seen.
2001 style. Oh,
yeah,
I'm intrigued.
It's a bit. Well, I've not seen it yet, but I've got a mate of mine, one of the guys from one of the diving companies who sort of gave some dry suits and that sort of stuff. They've seen it because they aired it in Zurich, a diving film festival out in Zurich last week, and he said it's beautiful, it's amazing. It's a bit like you're tripping out the whole time, and you think it's not quite. It's quite a surreal thing film because I mean Yanni is Finnish and they're all a bit mental things. Yeah, so that's sort of.
What's it being released on?
I think it'll be on the net. I think in November. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's Yanni.
Can you specify where on the web though?
I don't know.
Big place, mate. On the web. Fucking right, it's going to be on the web.
It's going to be called. I just going to be called Dive Odyssey, and it'll be.
Dive Odyssey. There's something that reminds me of something.
Yeah.
There's a free diving video.
Yeah.
Oh God. That's called something Odyssey.
We're doing what? What's the freediving about?
It's crazy. I'll show you this after.
Okay.
Because I won't do it now because it'll be shit listening.
Yeah. Not for radio.
It's a diving video. It's a 6 minute free diving video. It's about 6 minutes long, and it's this couple doing it, bloke and a woman, but the woman's filming.
Yeah.
And it's just a sequence of this guy freediving, but he's riding the underwater current.
Yeah.
With this mental music.
Yeah.
What is that called?
I know what you mean.
Oh, it's amazing. I can't stop what I've watched.
The guy doing it is.
Are they not? They finish or something like that.
I thought that was Italian. Anyway, yeah, but I know what you mean.
Maybe Italian.
What
the hell is it called? I'm sure that's called something Odyssey as well.
I did a freediving thing for this children's BBC series I did last year, and we went to Alaska and we cut 2 holes in the ice 50 meters apart, and the idea was I'd jump into one and freedive 50 meters to the next one.
How did that go for you?
It went alright.
How cold was the water?
Water was about 1 degree. I was wearing a 5 mil wetsuit.
I think I read about this. And then they had someone there doing physiological tests and that, didn't they? Is this was the one with Chris Chapman?
No,
Chris Packham.
that was on Operation Iceberg as well.
Oh, God, sorry.
And then classically we did it again in Cloud Lab I did a free dive into a cave system and then a surface this air bell so they could take blood samples. But they're all pretty straightforward and easy. This one, I've swam further, but in like a swimming pool, like 50 meters. Plus the visibility was basically nil. So to dive down from the hole to try and find a rope at the bottom, follow this rope along, and then at the end of the rope, I knew when the rope ran out, I should just swim straight up to the hole. So psychologically, it was a little bit, and holding your breath is a lot about the psychology of it. That's why you can do far better in nice warm waters where you can see a long way than you can as nil viz. So 50 meters in freezing cold waters in nil viz was.
You had to go down 50 metres free dive.
No, I went only down about 5 metres, went along 50 metres, and then back up. So
why didn't they screw in that and put the rope near the surface?
Nah, that's too easy.
Yeah, I wouldn't try it. I don't dive either.
But on the surface, it was minus 28.
Jesus Christ. And what was the water, sorry?
Only about 1 degree. So it was warm, the water was 1 degree. But because it was fresh water, but it was minus in Alaska in November. It was minus 28. I did the dive, came out, put my fins down, did a piece to camera, picked the fins up, and one of my fins just snapped in half. Good. Moving on.
What's the freezing temperature of salt water then?
Well, I think it's supposed to be like minus 1.87. So say minus 2. My computer, my dive computer read minus 2 when I was down in the iceberg. But glaciologists said, oh, well, it couldn't be minus 2, it must be minus 1.87. I'm like, alright, fellas, but when I come to do this talk, this chat, I'll probably just call it 2, shall I? But yeah, because of salt content, it doesn't freeze. That's why you can have salt water, which is below 0, but still water. There you go. Bit of science pub quiz trivia for you.
I wasn't listening.
Nah. It's just white noise. It's literally just white. Something detuning radio around here.
Does the temperature of the water affect the gas you use? Or not?
Kind of. So the deeper you go, you've got to change what gas you're breathing. So air becomes toxic.
30 meters.
Yeah, usually about 50 meters. It kind of depends what you. It's all guesswork. A lot of dive science, hyperbaric science is so new that people are kind of guessing at it. But normally, don't want to geek out too much, but we could say that the partial pressure of oxygen, if it's above 1.6, is getting dangerous, which basically means about sort of 50-60 meters, you can't breathe air. So if we're doing big dives, like we dived the Britannic, which is the twin sister of Titanic, a couple of years ago. It's 120 meters down. We
I didn't know it was a twin sister.
Yeah, identical, pretty much identical.
When did they launch at the same time?
No, it launched after Titanic had sunk, so they actually made it better. They put in better sort of walls to it, and it was a better version of Titanic basically. Still sank, and I was going to say, yeah. Mind you, to be fair though, people go, still fucking sank though. Yeah, but it was being used as a hospital ship in World War One, and it made loads of trips back and forth to basically the eastern part of the Med, like picking up guys in the Crimea and things like that. And it hit a U-boat laid sea mine. So people go, oh, still fucking sank. You go, yeah, but it sank because it hit an object specifically designed to sink warships, and it was effectively a cruise liner. So, and everyone got off alive.
Oh.
Yeah, 16 people died, but that's because everyone got off alive. Here's what happened. So the ship was sinking, and they launched 2 lifeboats before the captain had said, launch the lifeboats. So he hadn't turned off the props. So as the ship, because it went down nose first, they launched the lifeboats at the back end, and they got sucked into the prop and chopped up. Yeah. And then he said, right, it's not going to work. He didn't have a clue that. He hit stop, and then said launch the lifeboats. But yeah, everyone got off alive because it was daytime. The water was warm because you're in the, I think it's like the Aegean, just off Greece, and there was loads of ships in the area. So people in the water for a couple of hours, and the water was like 26, 27 degrees.
How can we dive down to that then?
Well, because it was 100 years since it sank. It sunk in 1916, so in 2016 we did a BBC special on the Britannic, Titanic's twin sister and all that sort of stuff. So, they needed somebody who could, a presenter who could dive to 120 metres, which is a list of one idiot. That was cool. So yeah, we're using, what I tend to dive with nowadays is a rebreather. So it's the same sort of technology that they use on spacewalks. It's just you recycle one breath the whole time. But what you're breathing has to change, because the sort of gas you need to breathe at 120 metres, which is probably, we're using like 70% helium, 4% oxygen, and it leaves 26% nitrogen. You can't, if you breathe that at the surface, you die.
Mm-hmm.
But the same token, the stuff you can breathe at the surface, if you're breathing that at 120 metres, that would kill you. So you've got to keep changing with the sort of the gas mix you're breathing all the way up and down.
What do you mean recycle one breath? Does it know? What do you mean recycle one breath?
So there's no bubbles, right? So you exhale.
Yeah.
It goes around the tube. It goes into the system. There's basically stuff that looks like cat litter that absorbs out all the carbon dioxide in your breath. There's a really small like scuba diving bottle full of pure oxygen, and it just puts a minute amount of oxygen back into that mix, and then it comes round to the other side and you breathe it in. So you basically are just breathing the same breath again and again.
So as long as you've got that oxygen still there to revitalise it, it doesn't degrade.
Yeah. So I've done 7.5 hour dives on my rebreather, and people have done like 12-hour dives. And the minimize the constraining factor is actually the cat litter stuff, the stuff that the CO2 absorbent material. Once that becomes saturated, it can't absorb anymore, then you're just like breathing in a bag basically. So you're gonna get.
Is it right? What I read about the bends, is that as my understanding of it is that it's a bit like getting, what you call it, and developing an analogy, and a bit like in the case that it can there's certain things you can do to increase the probability that you're going to get the bend.
Yeah.
But for other people who could do just dive, do everything right, I can still develop the bends.
Yeah.
For somebody, it can just happen. It can just happen.
Yeah.
I understand why that is.
Well, no one does yet. So say that hyperbaric medicine, it's all guesswork at this stage. So there's definitely things that you will do which will guarantee the bends. If you go 120 meters, for example, on a dive, and then you rocket back to the surface, you're gonna die 100%. So we did that dive. So if you spend sort of 45 minutes at 120 meters, and this is on rebreathers, which are better than normal scuba systems for those sort of depths. I think it still took us 5 hours to get back to the surface. To decompress. So if you go straight to the surface, you're basically going to fizzle up.
You need it's to do with nitrogen, isn't it? It's trying to get the reduce the amount of nitrogen, the percentage of nitrogen in your bloodstream as you go.
Yeah.
So as you get closer to the surface and the pressure becomes less, the nitrogen increases in size.
Yeah.
So if you've got the same amount at 120 meters as a surface, then that nitrogen is like a fucking balloon, and you're dead.
You know what? There's an analogy, and it's not an analogy. It works. The physics is exactly the same, right? It's a Coke bottle. Your body's a Coke bottle. So you at depth, 120 meters, you're under 13 times atmospheric pressure. So imagine that pressure's pushing the gas into your bloodstream, right? So just like you look at a bottle of Coke, you can't really see many bubbles in there, right? Because it's all the sort of gas is hidden. It's all into the liquid,
yeah.
Right? So you shake that fucking bottle up, right? That's like you going diving. You can either open the top really slowly and let the gas out of solutions. The gas, the gas comes out of the liquid, in this case Coke, nice and slowly, and it's okay. Or you can just ram the top off in a oneer, and it fucking explodes. That's exactly what's happening in your body. You know, because your body is basically a big bag of liquid. I think we're solid, mostly just liquid. So that gas is forced into your bloodstream and your tissues, or as the wet tissues. You can either let it come out in slowly as you rise to the surface, or you can rock to the surface, and basically you're going to fizz up. And that's what the bends are. The bends are, it's basically bubbles forming in your tissues, in your bloodstream, and in your joints, or in your skin. You can get rashes, or in your brain or spine, and that's the ones that are the worst. That's what's going to kill you. You know, if you get a bubble in your central nervous system. But yeah, the bends effectively is bubbles forming in your body. It's a Coke bottle.
I'm glad I half knew it. How did you end up in media, TV and TV? You didn't do any radio, do you?
Not till now. No. Was that any radio? No. So I left forces, did the usual stuff. You know, worked on the circuit for a couple of years.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realise.
Yeah, I did. Was work for. I did a lot of surveillance work actually. Some really I enjoyed surveillance work more because it was more usually with 6-10 week jobs.
UK based.
Those were UK based.
Yeah.
Those were kind of against organised crime stuff. Yeah. It was mega interesting. I was usually too. I seen it, so I was writing. So I was usually the bloke because I was the only ex officer. So there's a load of lads, and I was like, well, I'll do the writing then. That was usually my job. That's why you said it was 2IC. They're like, none of us. We all want to go. At the end of the day, we all went to the bar. So you have the laptop and write the reports up. But I quite liked it because it meant that the teams would be out and they bring back all the information. So I'd collect all the information to write the report. So actually I had a really good handle on what was going on. I found it very, very interesting. And then I spent a couple of years working for CRG out in Pakistan and in West Africa. But that was kind of fun. That was never the long-term plan. It was just to sort of pay the mortgage and fund my own projects and my own sort of expeditions and that sort of stuff. So what I want to do was try and make a living from I split the climbing and the skydiving and that, but what I did best was the diving. So it was cave diving, exploration, and deep diving stuff. And obviously figured, Ronald Fiennes does it. How hard can it be? It turns out it's bloody hard. And when I first started, I realised that people will not pay you to go and have adventures or go and do expeditions and exploration projects, but they will pay you to communicate afterwards, whether it be, writing for magazines, taking pictures, making films, doing talks or whatever. So when I stopped the old circuit stuff, and I had a line in the sand, I was always going to go, right, I need to get this much money to put a deposit down in the house in Bristol, with my missus. We'll put a decent deposit down, that'll kind of set us up, at least then we've got a fixed point to move forward from, because I knew there would never be much money in this sort of stuff that I do, so I needed to make sure I was in a position to keep my daily living costs down. So yeah, I got that line of sand and just pop smoke, and then I was doing a bit of outdoor, adventure training stuff. So I was taking people, because I was a climbing instructor and mountain guide. So I was taking people walking and kayaking and climbing and that sort of stuff. And I was doing a bit of commercial diving as well. And then I started doing safety work for TV, mostly the BBC guys out of Bristol. So dive supervisor, safety diver, doing a bit of climbing safety for them. And at the same time, I started writing for the diving mags. I guess I do kayaking and climbing outdoor, but obviously diving was what I was best at, so I kind of pursued that at the start. And that was back in the days when, there was still money in magazines. You still got paid. Yeah. You can still make a little bit, but there's very little money within print media now. I'm still writing for some of the magazines, but like a quarter of what I used to get for the same stuff, just because they don't have the money, because the internet's taken off. So yeah, I was doing that, and off the back of that, I started getting a bit of sponsorship. Never money, just but free kit. But it was free kit I needed, like dry suits, wetsuits, dive gear, so it was saving me money. And then got asked to speak at some shows, some dive shows, some outdoor sports shows, adventure shows, that sort of stuff. And then I found there, I thought actually sometimes getting little clips during these talks would be nice, because it would kind of show a bit of action, it would give me a rest, and the audience a rest from me, give me a minute to kind of just look at my notes or whatever, take a drink of water. And that developed into making little short films for film festivals. I had no clue what I was doing, But I was doing like things like a cave diving project in Scotland I did on my own, so solo cave diving, so I was filming it all myself. And that got picked up as a 5-minute short for the BBC. And then...
What were you doing with it? Just head-mounted cameras and stuff like that? Or arm-mounted cameras and shit like that?
Yeah, and well, for that one, what I was doing was I'd crawl in some horrible little space, put the camera on a tripod facing me, crawl back out, and then crawl back in again to get me, like the shot of me crawl in. You know, so I did the cave like 4 times just to get the shot of me doing it once. Or, yeah, sometimes you'd be able to camera in front of you, or like say handheld. That was like 2010.
Pre-GoPro. Pre-GoPro.
Oh, it was, yeah, it was
pre. 8 years ago.
It was before GoPro.
It was a tripod, mate. If you head-mounted camera there, would be like a brick.
yeah. Film real 35mm. So I did that, and then where it all kicked off was folk I knew at the BBC said, "Oh, they're looking for ideas for Coast." This thing called Coast, people remember it. And they'd been around the UK coast, like I think it was Series 7 they're on now, so they're desperate for ideas. I was like, "Oh, I've got some ideas." So I wrote to them and said, "Oh, I've got some ideas. You know, if you're going to go cave diving or deep diving or caving or climbing, there's masses of the British coastline that like no one's explored. So either I can take if it's climbing or caving, I could take your presenter there, or if it's like deep cave stuff, I can go and do it with the camera, film it, come back and give it to you." So they'd looked at my website and obviously seen some of the films I've made, but bear in mind I made these films myself, so they were kind of featured me because there's no one else there to feature, you know what I mean? And it turns out they thought I was vying for a presenter's job, which I mean, I'm not saying what, but I figured if that'd be like 5-10 years down the line, you got to do these steps. They said, "Oh, would you be prepared to present TV that wasn't sort of as extreme?" And literally in my head it was like, fucking what? Wait, what? But obviously, game face, I was like, well, yes, I'd consider it. So, yeah, they said, so we'd like you to send you to the Isle of Lewis to do a piece on shepherding.
Where's that? Where's Isle of Lewis?
Out at Hebrides.
Fucking places everywhere, isn't there? Go on, on shepherding, yeah.
Yeah, so that will be up. Now, it was a one-off thing and that was it, right? That was my one gig, that was it. But luckily it was a near disaster. But I had no idea because I had no point of reference, right?
There was no diving or anything, though?
No, it was literally like just shepherding. Yeah, I know. I was like, so on this little island. So the natives are a bit restless, and obviously this crew come up from England, and the locals were like, "Oh, we're not speaking to you." So I became the kind of go between the crew and the shepherds, because at least I was from like the right part of the Arctic Circle, and So the long story short, the cameraman was really fit to be in the mountains, and the researcher had a camera, and so there's 3 cameras, and I ended up carrying all of them because just give it me, because these shepherds were bounding off up this mountain, and we were falling behind. I was like, just give the kit to me, fuck's sake. And then the mist came down, and they was like, "Well, we don't know where we're going." I was like, "Well, where are we meeting these guys?" "We're meeting this little ferry. It's partly here." I was like, "Right, not a drama." So I had a map and compass on me, because I mean, you wouldn't deploy in the hills without a map and compass. Especially as ex-civvy mountain guide anyway. But I was like, "All right, well, this is dead easy. It's an island with a big ridge running down the middle of it. So it's a piece of piss to navigate. Well, we're on the ridge now. Just walk down the ridge to the end, hang a right, and we're there. Off we go." Finished filming, it's all fine. So got back to Birmingham, where the BBC Coast was made at the time, and they were like, "Oh my god, thanks so much for that, blah blah blah, you held together." And I was like, "Oh, what do you mean? Isn't this how shoots normally go?" Like, no, this was as a presenter, you shouldn't be carrying all the equipment and navigating the crew through the mountains. So off the back of that, they gave me another I think 4 episodes on the series. So I maintain the only reason I'm doing TV at all is because I can carry heavy kit up a mountain and read a map and compass. So yeah, that's how I get to tell you. I could, tab and nav, mate. Tab and nav.
If we hire this moron, he'll do all the work. We can hire 2 less people to carry the kit.
Oh yeah, that's it.
So the shepherds though, we're talking farmers, right?
Yeah.
Right. Just Isle of Lewis, but they call themselves shepherds. Do they have dogs?
Yeah.
Right, got ya. Shepherds. You call them shepherds down here, mate. It's farmers. fucking shepherds.
Yeah, but what?
You get shepherds in the Bible. Don't get into the fucking Bible.
Yeah, well, I mean, they herd sheep, so the shepherds.
Farmers.
Yeah, well, but what's the difference between a sheep
The
farmer
farmers who, at times, they need to shepherd the sheep.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about like farmers, sheep farmers, on.
I've never heard shepherds using
No.
like in outside of, like I say, reading it in Latin.
Well, figure. See it on Christmas card. I see shepherds once a year on advent calendars, and that's it. They, yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry with that.
Sorry, we don't have to get caught on it. You're wrong. I'm right.
So you must get shepherds in Wales.
You get farmers who shepherd. No, you don't use. No one uses the word shepherd. No one
people
uses the word
should.
shepherd. They
People
don't
should use
say.
it. We need to go back to the old way, shepherding, and the other word I think people should use more is haversack.
Haversack.
Yeah. Rather than rucksack.
There's people who've never heard that word.
Haversack.
There's people never explain haversack for the uneducated.
It's a bargain.
What?
A haversack, isn't it? A haversack's just a bargain.
No.
No?
What? No. Right. So I know the word haversack is from the military.
Yeah.
And you get on the range,
Yeah.
or you get on the RAF fucking plane, or you get whatever, and you get given your haversack for that non-tactical journey, civvy journey somewhere, or waiting for something, and it's a brown paper bag with a lot of crap scoff in it.
That's
with like a fruit, like a slice of fruit cake and biscuits brown.
That's a nose bag.
That's a haversack. That's a haversack.
I'm pretty sure in the 1950s haversack meant rucksack.
Nah. Well, here you go, mate.
Yeah.
It's the 21st century. There's no shepherding, and haversack's a little brown bag.
These days, if I wanted to read something, I'll use a spyglass. I'll use a spyglass.
Yeah.
I've also, when I'm going to, we're slightly off topic here. We're going to spyglasses. I've never smoked, but when I'm 65 and therefore I don't have to give a shit anymore, I'm gonna take up smoking a pipe. Just because I want to smoke. Not. I'm going to a range of pipes. I'm going to have a crime-solving pipe. A long kind of Gandalf-esque chilling out pipe.
I've owned a pipe, and I've had friends when we were in. I said pipes, and I used to smoke all the time. And we'd be in camp. We're talking like 2005, 2006, 2007. We'd smoking pipes.
Pipes are cool. I can't wait. I mean, that's really bad for you, but I'm definitely going to have a pipe collection when I'm 65.
So, you're not. You like a free agent, aren't you? So you just go work.
I will literally work with anyone who will employ me.
Are you in a position where you can just get so I think I want to do this project because that interests me and you can get funding for it?
No, not even close. It's not what it looks like from the outside. It's worse paid than CRG by a stiff amount, and you work, Depends. I mean, we did the Operation Iceberg was a big series, but it was only 6 weeks long. I mean,
what was that about?
It was the science of kind of icebergs and glaciers. It was really good. It's good laugh. It was a good team. But I could do like the one show now, and people go, "Oh, you work with the one show? It's great." Yeah, but each film I do is a 1 day shoot because the budgets, there's not the money. People assume it's not Hollywood, right? Hollywood's got loads of money. TV has got no money, and the BBC especially have got no money. So like a one show shoot is a 1 day shoot, and often we haven't got the budget to do 2 travel days. So often you'll travel on day 1, you'll film on day 2, and then try and travel back that if you can that night. You know what I mean? So you end up doing like 20-hour days, which is all the stuff I do. And they always ask me to do. I'm not a professional presenter. I'm not your Ben Fogels or your I'm not like a professional TV presenter. They roll me in to do the stuff that they can't find anybody else to do, basically, which is like cave diving, deep diving, your wingsuit and skydiving, climbing, that sort of stuff. So it's perceived as like massively high risk. Almost like, fellas, the most dangerous thing we'll do is drive tired, which you always do in shoots, because shoots are always restricted by budget, so they minimise the number of days. They'll push the travel at the start and the end of the day, so you're forever driving tired. And so like that's the most dangerous part of working in TV, is like driving at night on your own, knackered.
What do you do when you're not on a project?
Try and generate work. 95% of the work I've done in TV, I've come up with the idea of self-generated. Very little of it's come to me. I've always had to go. Yeah, even Operation Iceberg. I was initially the dive supervisor. And I was like, well, I've done some course. I want to, in front of the camera. the one show stuff, you know, the last sort of 4 or 5 years doing that, I think that maybe 1 or 2 ideas have been brought to me by production companies. The rest of the films, like 50, 80 odd films have been my ideas.
Was Racing the Falcon your idea? Was Beyond Bionic your idea?
Yeah. I was the associate producer on Beyond Bionic because I wrote the idea up. Yeah, that's an idea we've been pitching for like 7 years. Couldn't get anyone to make it, and then had a meeting with a guy called Ben Armstrong from CBBC, because initially Ben phoned me up. He was the head of development, and he said, "We'd like to speak to you about making some stuff for children's BBC." And I was like, "No, you fucking don't, mate." You know, and he's like, "Mate, no, you shouldn't look down your nose at kids' telly." It's like, "Mate, I'm not looking down my nose at you. I'm just, you know, ex-council house jock squaddy. I'm probably not the bloke you want on kids' TV." And he's like, "No, we would like to, you know, come up to Manchester for a couple, because the children's BBC is based in Manchester. Come up to us for a couple of days and develop some ideas." Wow, yeah, cool. Now, I've got two kids of my own, and I had one at that point. So I went up there, and they were absolutely brilliant. The most genuine and credible people I'd met in telly, that I shadow it out. Like because most of them had kids. They were like, right, we don't want any bullshit. We don't want to make fake TV. We don't want to ham stuff up. You know, pretend it's like, you know, false jeopardy or drama. We just want to make genuine TV as it is and make it, you know, good. Because that's the thing, we'll make it for our own kids because we want to be good. So, you know, those 2 days they absolutely convinced me, and I was like, right, I'm massively on board. Whatever I've got to do is all good. So I gave them the Beyond Bionic idea. They developed it, and then it took me and Ben basically about 1.5 years to get the money to make it, and then we made it last year, and it was awesome. It was one of probably the best thing I've done in telly, as far as kind of rewarding, because I've actually seen, you know, a lot of people who work in telly think they are changing the world, and they're not. I mean, they're making fucking telly. It's you know, we're not curing cancer or solving third world debt. Whereas with the kid stuff, afterwards, you know, speaking to teachers and parents and kids, you think, and I'm not the fucking messiah, but you know, in a very, 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 very small way, you made a bit of a difference. Just kids like, oh, I wasn't interested in maths, but now, like, when you were talking about how jumping out of planes is kind of physics, then suddenly it's cool. The
quality is more important because the quality of it is more important because that your target audience are so much more impressionable.
Yeah,
so much more impressionable.
Yeah.
I understand. I agree with you, mate. It's just nice to hear that kind of that.
I'm still pitching to. I mean, I'd like to do another series with kids BBC. And I'm pitching ideas whenever they'll pick the phone up to me, because it was probably the best thing stuff I've done.
What's next? What's that? What did you say was out next?
What's next?
What's been released next? You already mentioned it. We're an hour and a half in.
Are we? Oh, okay. Well, what's next? So I just did some one show stuff where I was paramotoring up the River Wye. We are trying to get doing some of the one show actually, where I pitched this idea to do a game of live Quidditch. You know, the old broomsticks things at Harry Potter.
I went silent because briefly I had that gormless look on my face because I was thinking, how the fuck?
So the idea is this, right? The idea is this. It's totally doable. He's not like really. So you basically lob a ball of a plane, and then you and your mates have broomsticks and parachutes, and you jump after it for 15,000 feet, and then you basically play Quidditch in the way
you deploy high. You open your shoots high.
No. You won't shoot probably quite low because you play Quidditch in free fall.
Oh, so you're just saying you have shoots to reassure me you weren't jumping out the plane.
Yeah. Well, I thought maybe you thought, what, just a broomstick? Is that safe?
So are you going to do wingsuits?
No. We're just going to. That'd be get. I wouldn't.
Because are you going to
wingsuit with a broomstick? That's just asking for problems.
You have to close your wings to grab the fucking broom, wouldn't you?
Yeah, wingsuit. I mean,
so I do tracking with it. Then.
Basically, tracking. Do you skydive?
No.
All right, you've got the lingo.
Oh, I know a lot of blokes that do.
All right.
What ball are you going to use?
Well, we've got to build a special ball because it's got to have a parachute in it and an AED, like an automatic opening device. So if it gets to 500 feet and it's still in free fall, it'll deploy a parachute safety wise to get it past the Civil Aviation Authority, who kind of police the skies and therefore police skydiving. And the thing.
Are you doing it in the States, would you?
No, we would like to do it in the States. We have the money, so we can do it in the UK.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that's what we're trying that, because there's a lot of paperwork to do. Because as a folk don't realise, we do the skydiving stuff for telly. Everyone in telly assumes skydivers all just chin Red Bull, high five and try and kill themselves. And actually, skydiving is the most heavily regulated sport in the country.
Oh, really?
Well, because skydiving, it happens at airfields and in airspace, therefore it's controlled by the Civil Aviation Authority, the same people that that police Heathrow. So
of course, yeah.
the British Parachute Association to look after skydiving, but on behalf of the CAA. So yeah, for me to get a plane, I've got to show a medical certificate. I've got to show currency, my logbook. My kit's got to be checked, and it's got the reserve repart's got to be in date, like an MOT in date, all that sort of stuff. There's a huge amount of kit and docs checks to do just to be able to get on a jump plane.
Going back to the Quidditch.
Yes.
How do you score a goal?
We're gonna have two blokes with a big hoop. The hula hoop.
You're serious, aren't you?
Yeah. Or one. I think we probably mean just one bloke, but he's basically he's a goalpost, so he's going to be holding the big hula hoop in free fall, and then we've got to lob the ball through the hoop.
Will it move? Or will it move laterally? All right, if you throw it.
Yeah, I mean it'll move. Yeah, you can throw it.
Drop in as well.
Yeah, but it'll drop. It's good. We've weighted it so it'll drop the same speed as us. So it'll drop roughly 120 mile an hour vertically. So we throw it.
Will it descend at the same rate?
Yeah.
Even though it's moving from left to right.
Yeah, pretty much. Because the cameraman looking at us throwing this ball. Because to him we're static because we're falling at the same rates. The ball will look as it's travelling roughly horizontal through the hoop.
And if you miss or whatever pass, you got. Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
When you making that?
Well, it was meant to be like the last couple of weeks, but it might have to be waiting till next year now because of the weather. Because the UK is a rubbish place to skydive after about September.
Something being released in a couple of weeks ago? You mentioned it earlier. How was that?
Oh, that was the Dive Odyssey thing, the Finnish thing.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Right, yeah.
Probably. I mean, Yanni is amazing, but he's also a bit mental. So it's supposed to come out in November, but when November I don't know. And then what else we're doing? And then we're like a couple weeks time we're shooting a cave diving film for Nat Geo, in Wookiee Hole, which is cool.
Where's that?
Somerset.
Wookiee Hole. Is that a deliberate Star Wars reference?
No, I think it's a Somerset thing. Wookiee Hole. I think Wookiee Hole is because it's in the village of Wookiee. I think I don't know, but Wookiee Hole's been around for like I think before Star Wars. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right. Right.
I don't speak Somerset, so I don't know.
Anything you want to? Let's be good enough, mate. Anything you want to? Anything you want to mention? Shameless plug. Who'd have thought? You got a book, haven't you?
Oh, that was years ago. Yeah.
2 years ago.
No, the book was like. No, the book was more than that.
2016.
No.
Or 15.
14, 15. I don't know.
15. I think it was.
It's a few years out of date anyway.
Like the Bible.
Yeah.
You mentioned shepherds and that as well.
Yeah. Do I? If I don't, they'll definitely be in the new edition.
How do people get hold of you? How do people not get hold of you?
Best
AndyTorbet.com.
Yeah, the website is AndyTorbet.com. But the best thing is Instagram. I've pretty much been Facebook and Twitter now because I just haven't got the time to do them all. So I'm doing lots of stuff on Instagram now. So
Instagram's good. Instagram is good. Isn't
yeah,
it?
I actually and I follow you on Instagram.
As of yesterday, I think that was.
That's not true.
You can't bluffer, mate. It's yesterday.
That's not true.
Before you thought I don't follow him, I'll have to.
That is not
true. And I'll
true.
randomly like his stuff.
That is not true. I've been following you for at least 3 days.
Right, what is your handle on Instagram?
I think it's Andy Torbet.
Easy.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Or Torbet if we're in Soho / Paris.
Torbet.
Yeah.
Torbet, yeah.
Beautiful.
Anything else?
No, I think that's about it. Unless somebody out there happens to be listening to this, has to be a TV commissioner who wants to commission a TV show.
Well, as long as it's not about Falkland Islanders, Yorkshires,
well,
Yorkshire people.
What? See, I've been fairly diplomatic. You're the one that's completely ostracised your target demographic. Yorkshire, Cornish, Falkland Islanders. Who else have we insulted? Shepherds. Although I think that's still you.
I'll always listen to myself on this. I listen to this after consistently, so I'll always have at least one listener. It doesn't matter. I sort it. Right, thanks for your time,
mate. Cheers, man.
Pleasure.